All right, Shalom Aleichem, everybody. It's your friend Kublenzer Rebbe back out of YouTube jail. Like my wife said, I think I mentioned in another video, my wife said I'm the chaplain in the YouTube jail. So anyway, we didn't learn Kedushas Levi last week. Maybe I'll still also make up for Parshas Baloischa. But today is Chof Gimel Sivan. And Chof Gimel Sivan is mentioned in the 8th chapter of Megillas Esther. It's the day when Achashverosh, when King Ahasuerus overturned his decree.
In a quarter mile, turn right onto Ferndale Road.
Returned the Machshavas Haman. He turned around the decree to destroy all the Jews. And so thus, as Farm Kedushas bring that we should have some commemoration of Purim on this day.
Turn right onto Ferndale Road.
What I did was I sat and I had a little Suda, and
continue on Ferndale Road for 1.5 miles.
I put on my kolpik and a backer show with a little bit of color on it, and I washed. I had a little matzah, a little gefilte fish, and sang Shoshanas Yankov and a few other songs for Purim, like I've done in other years also. My holy Zayda, the Chavas Yor, Zchusi Galenu, and the Sefer Makor Chaim brings us down this Indian of Chav Gimel Sivan. And this was Mamish the day of Nahapechu, and we hope and pray that we'll see a Nahapechu also here in America, where there's, and in the whole world now, with what's going on in the world, we're looking for a big Nahapechu. That everything should turn around and be better. And let's, so again, if we invoke the holy tzaddik, the great saint, the Kedushas Levi, the Barditchev Arovos, Levi Yitzchak Mitzar Sashim Barditchev, specifically by learning some of his Torah and connecting it to this day, connecting it to the Torah of the Megillas Esther, this is a way that we can pray to the Almighty that the things should get better in this world, and we should see our own miniature Nes Purim. And so since I mentioned that this day in history is mentioned in the 8th chapter of Megillah, I found, what did the Kedushas Levi say in the 8th chapter? I'll be honest, I didn't look this over. I'm just learning it together with you now. So let's learn Mordechai Yotzim Lefnei Melech. That's one of those psukim that when you lay in the Megillah, if you're not a baki, but I'm not. But
in a quarter mile, turn left onto Sullivan Avenue.
At least 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, whatever it is, because I'll lay in it for the prisoners, and there might be different groups, and I'll lay in it for the mental hospital. I'll lay in it for my wife. I'll listen to someone else lay in it in shul because I don't trust myself enough that I should
turn left onto Sullivan Avenue.
I have to lane for the people who don't have who to lane for them. So, and I often get nervous. I know it's Yatsa because just out of knowing it. But when you're reading the Megillah, sometimes you get a little nervous. And so you're not sure, is it Yotze, is it Yetze? But it's very obviously, if you know Diktuk, it's Yotze.
Continue on Sullivan Avenue for 1 mile.
It's a little bit of a different day. So Mordechai Yotze L'fnei Melech. This is a Mordechai, he went out from the presence of the king. This is Megillas Esther, the book of Esther, chapter 8, verse 15. It's interesting, both of my grandmothers were named Esther, by the way. Al derech sheparashna b'mokim acher, and one of my youngest daughter, one of her names Esther. Al derech sheparashna b'mokim acher. We'll explain this by what we explained elsewhere. Pasuk is halech lefonai. People who know a little bit, following me on Facebook, they know in my mishpacha leider So du a große Tragedie, man hofft, es soll auch sein in der Haferkuh. Als meine Schwester gehabt Zwilling, in Geluch, und sie will nicht malende Kinder. Und man hofft, es soll geben eine Bris Milah für sie. Lassen sie a Bris Milah bis Manoi, nicht zu warten bis a Bar Mitzvah, wenn es a große weißt, surgery. And by Avram Avinu,
In 1,000 feet, turn right onto New York 52 East.
By Avram Avinu, by Abraham, it says in the book of Genesis, I'm sorry for the ones who don't understand Yiddish, certain things, I'm sorry, I can't say in English.
Take the next right onto New York 52 East.
You know, especially in a time like this, I got myself in a lot of trouble. You know, I was in YouTube jail for a week for talking about the election and stuff, so I can't talk about that stuff. So
Continue on New York 52 East for 4 miles.
This is not even election type stuff. Anyway, in the book of Genesis, chapter 17, verse 1, God says to Abraham, "Ishalech lefonei ve'yisomim." He says, "Walk in front of me, and you become perfect by giving yourself a bris milah." There's an imperfection in the body, which is the orla, foreskin, and God gives us a commandment to remove that imperfection, and that makes us whole. So we can explain this according to what our sages taught. Gemara in Tainus Chav Gimel Amud Aleph, Tanith 23a. Sigzor Omer. So the pasuk says you should make a decree and say. So it says Ato Gezarta Milmata Kodesh Baruch Hu B'Kayim Lamala. You made a decree below. A human being can make a decree here on earth, and God will fulfill it in heaven on behalf of those of us who are here on earth. And it should be understood also, this word Gazarta is also related to the mitzvah of Bris Milah in Aramaic. It's somewhat of a cognate. Anyway, Nimsa Tzadik Hu Kivyochol Lifnei Hashem. So you say, in a certain sense, a manner of speaking, the tzaddik, the righteous person, the saint, is before the Lord. Right? What does it mean? That's what it says, V'shalei v'shalech lefonai, meaning the tzaddik is in front of God. Not that there's a front or back of God. All of these things are just terms that we use to discuss these ideas. So what does that mean? That when it says, walk in front of me, right? Because, you know, Noah, he walked with God. But Abraham, he walked in front of God. So what does this mean? She'tei lefonai, you should be in front of me. Ein shama makam acher, look over there. What's that? That's Parshas Lech Lecho, right? Let's see what he says there. V'chein b'chan amru razal. So also here, the sages explain. It's the Medrash Esther Rabbah Zoyim. Shenigzam Lamala b'choysin shaltit gezeres koloyin al Yisrael. That there was a decree that was made to destroy the Israelites, but it was made. It was written in mud, or sometimes, or some kind of a clay, right? They had the clay. Wie soll heißt es? The clay seals. So the decree of destruction upon the Israelites, upon the Jews, was in clay. Efes Mordechai bittul gezerim is kaim of Mordechai sigzarimer v'yakom lach. But Mordechai he overrode this decree, and therefore we see Mordechai, he fulfilled the verse. How much is gas over here? Because usually it's cheaper here. $4.89. So the Schlecht. Yeah, I guess I'll have to fill up here. To go around here. So, or at least put in $20 something. So it says by Mordechai rather, was fulfilled the verse in this, which I think is from Isaiah, if I don't recall improperly. And you decree, and you say, and it's fulfilled. V'zehu Mordechai yotzel milifnei hamelech. That's what it means. That Mordechai, he went in front of the king. And the king, we know in the Megillas Esther, when it says the king, it's often and it doesn't say Achashverosh, it just says the king. That's a reference to God. That he was in front of the king, meaning he was in front of the king of the world. Take the
next left onto College Road.
Whenever it says the king in front, and it means the king of the world. Malchus, and then the scripture goes on to say that it's with. Maybe we continue recording while I'm pumping gas, so we could do that. That it says that he was with royal garments. Darf reinlegen mehr wie 20. Geht schaffen Geld Hand anyway. So what does it mean by levush malchus? Afal pi sheyesh koyach, but tzarek lahafich l'toiva. Even though the righteous saint has the power to turn something around to good, he should see to it that all of his deeds, everything he accomplishes, only for the sake of the glory of the kingdom of heaven. And that's what the scripture is saying here, that Mordechai went out with royal garments. That he clothed himself with the kingdom of heaven. We'll pause for a second. This is number 3. How do I pause it? Recording. So that's the meaning of that Mordechai wore royal garments. It means that he clothed himself with the glory of the kingdom of heaven. That which Mordechai did, that he removed the evil decrees from the Israelites, Yisraba Malchus Shemayim, that aggrandized and made greater the name of the kingdom of heaven, in order that the Israelites in the world should be sanctifying his blessed name. So the Berditchev Rav continues. We could explain that a righteous saint, even though he enjoys this world, he doesn't think that it's for himself. Everything he does is for the name of God. May he be blessed. That's what it means when it says that Mordechai went out in front of the king with the royal garments. That he garbed himself with the kingdom of heaven for the sake of the name of God, God's great name. And that's what's written there, all these different materials that were mentioned there in the scripture, that there was the blue dye and so forth, and I don't remember what it means, another color, even though he wore very valuable garments, he didn't do this for his own enjoyment. This was only for the sake of the glory of the kingdom of heaven. So, also in the same chapter, the pasuk says, wait a second, did I miss something?
Continue on New York 52 East for half a mile.
The book of Esther, chapter 8, verse 15. It says, in the city of Shushan was praising and rejoicing, and to the Jews there was a light and joy and rejoicing and glory. Chapter 8, verse 15. In the book of Sefer Mishlei, the book of Proverbs, chapter 29.
In a quarter mile, turn right onto Loch Sheldrake Hurleyville Road.
That when there are increase in the righteous people, then the people rejoice. What's it? Days. The general rule is as follows.
Take the next right onto Loch Sheldrake Hurleyville Road.
Oivdim as Hashem, when the saints
in 1,000 feet, turn right onto Leroy Road.
And they worship the Lord. That even the simple people have joy. They experience joy.
Take the next right onto Leroy Road.
Because when they're performing the commandments, they are bringing joy to all of the world.
In 1,000 feet, turn right to stay on Leroy Road.
When it says that the city of Shushan rejoiced, it's because of the rejoicing of Mordechai. That even though most of the residents of Shushan were not Jewish,
take the next right to stay on Leroy Road. Then your destination will be on the right.
Okay, wie sind wir? Du? Afal pi shaloi hayodim hatam lama hem smechim. They didn't even know why they're rejoicing.
Your destination is on the right.
Afal pi chen hayosmechim. Despite that, they were still rejoicing. Because with Mordechai and his power that he had, he brought joy to all the people. That's what's hinted to when it says the city of Shushan. They didn't know why they were rejoicing. They still rejoiced. But the Yidden, they had a reason for their joy. Because they were rescued from the wicked Haman. That's what's called light. That illuminates the reason why we're doing this. That's what it means. To the Jews, there was light and joy. They had the joy of why they're called light. That's what it means when they're more tzaddikim, the simple people rejoice. The simple people don't know why they're rejoicing. Despite that, they're rejoicing because the tzaddik brings joy to the world.